If you're wondering what flower seeds you can start in November, here are a few good options.
There are so many great options to choose from for flower seeds to start in November. It is also a great time to start flowers that are perennials in particular because they will likely need a period of cold stratification to germinate and get established with strong roots, and there's also less competition for nutrients and moisture in the soil. Bachelor's button, also known as cornflower, is a great annual flower to start in November, and it is easy to grow, and they can grow as tall as 3 feet. Black-eyed Susan or Rudbeckia are typically considered perennials, sometimes biennials, and they are really pretty, and you can get a nice, bright, large patch of these gorgeous flowers, and they can bloom in their first season. Delphinium is a fun flower to start sowing in November, and it's one that does do better with cold stratification. They are considered short-lived perennials, lasting about 2 to 3 years on average, but if you sow some every year, you shouldn't ever be without them. Depending on your climate, lupin can be an annual or a perennial, and in temperate climates, lupin is a great option to start from seed in November to get those blooms in the spring after having a good period of time to get established. Planting lupin from seed a few weeks before your last frost means you likely won't get blooms until late in the summer, so if you want the blooms earlier, this is a good month to get them started. Columbine is another fun perennial flower you can get started in November since they do well when they are started during colder weather. There are lots of different colors of columbine, and they can take up to 21 days to germinate, so don't worry if it takes a while to see the seeds sprout. Poppies are a fun annual flower, and they are going to be a great option to sow in November since these really do need cold stratification to get going, so when the temperatures are dropping in November, it's the perfect time to get those poppy seeds sown. Typically known as a perennial, another good choice to start from seed in November is flax of the Linum genus. There are actually a few different types of flax. 2 common types are blue flax that has edible seeds when cooked, and the Linum graniflorum, aka scarlet flax, which is more of an ornamental. Cold stratification isn't needed for these to germinate, but they can definitely benefit from a period of 4 to 8 weeks of colder temperatures. Snapdragons are known as a perennial flower but can also reseed easily, but they love cooler weather, which makes for a nice pop of color in colder seasons. Another good option for areas with mild winters is Gaillardia, also known as blanket flower, and they can do great if sown in November. They do well when planted in soil temperatures of below 50 degrees Fahrenheit, so if you aren't getting hard freezes, they should do just fine. Depending on the variety, some are annual and some are short-lived perennials lasting about 2 years, but you can divide them every 2 years or so to keep having them year after year. Milkweed is another great perennial to start from seed in November because it does need cold stratification to get started. It's a really great addition to the garden because the butterflies love it. This next group of flower seeds you can definitely sow all fall and often through the winter, but they are worth mentioning now for November since they don't do well in the heat but can thrive until the temperatures get really warm again. Alyssum, which is an annual that reseeds really easily and can kind of make a nice ground cover. Pansies are a great annual reseeder, and they come in different colors and patterns, and similarly, violas or Johnny Jump Ups also reseed easily and come in fun patterns and colors. Calendula, the medicinal powerhouse, is a great reseeder, so if you grow it once, it will keep coming back for years to come. Sweet pea is a very pretty and fragrant flower, and although it's not edible, it is a great option if you are looking for something that climbs. Nigella, aka Love in a Mist, is another annual flower that reseeds easily and comes in a couple of different color options. Nasturtium is one of my personal favorites. It is a really pretty flower. It makes a great trap crop, and it comes in so many different colors, and even though I personally don't like to eat any part of nasturtium, all of the parts are edible. Again, these are just a few suggestions, but they should be a good starting point for flower seeds to start this month. Even though the weather can be cold and gloomy this time of year, put that work in now for plenty of blooms later in the spring.